What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're going to be taking a look at a Holt Haptic. And this, unfortunately, is not my knife as of yet. Kevin doesn't know it, but he's not getting this back, most likely. No, I want to thank Kevin from Knife Nerdery. I'm going to leave that there just to remind you all. Take a look at his stuff. I'm going to link his channel down in the links below in the description. My reviews are mostly about my feel and my experience with the knife, what I like and what I don't like about the knife. His reviews are far more detailed as far as how the knife is built, the details and the construction, the engineering of it. That's why he's called Knife Nerdery. So do check him out. So he was generous enough to send me a pair of knives. You will see the other one here in the channel very soon. But this one is a Holt Haptic, and I have been after a Holt knife for a very long time. They're very hard to get because they are a small shop. They produce them in small batches, and so getting one is very difficult. I've tried. They do this kind of a lottery system, and then in that lottery system you get a drop, and then you pick a knife. But it's very hard to. They're hard to find, anyways. So he was very generous to give me a chance to check out his. So let me give you a tour of the knife. What you have here is a sheep's foot blade. That is hollow ground. Let me see if I can. You see the hollow? Yeah, there you go. So it's hollow ground. Let me see if I can show you there. You got a swedge up here. It's got this. It's probably hand rub satin flats, but the actual grind is. It looks like a vapor, silky, matte finish. I'm not sure how to describe it. It's very, very nice. I can tell you that. I put my fingerprints all over it. And then what you have here is it's a titanium liner lock. It's got this beautiful milling pattern. It's a liner lock. You've got a really nice pocket clip. You've got a milled pivot. Okay, and it is a flipper. So that's the tour of the knife. I believe this one is one of very few that they did in S90V. So it's even far more unique than what you might think. There are not very many Holt Haptics in S90V. A lot of them are in M390, those kinds of things. So this is definitely a nice one. So let me give you some size comparisons here, and I'll bring the sticker back here. But let me start with the usual ones. Here is against the Para 3, and here it is against the Para 2. So this is a very, very nice sweet spot of knife. And for any of you who have followed my channel, 3¼ inches is my ideal blade size. And that is exactly what this one is. It's exactly 3¼ inches. So this is enough knife so that I wear large gloves. So I get a full 4-finger grip on it, and I have enough blade. So it's basically nothing that I don't need, right? I don't have any extra handle or extra blade. For what I use it, 3¼ inches, perfect for my uses. Now, here's against the bug out, and maybe that's the best size comparison, the full size bug out. Here's the mini bug out, but I would say, so it's a little bit thicker than the full size bug out, but I would say that in the pocket it carries a lot, like this version of the bug out. The aluminum version, it has a little bit more heft to it, and that's kind of what this one feels like. But I wanted to bring another size comparison here, and because this is a knife that is probably the closest I have to something like this in my collection. and that is the Herman Sting. And again, I have all my fingerprints all over this one too. Let's clean them up. Yeah, there we go. That's the Herman Sting. So they are in the same neighborhood of size. They're in the same neighborhood of carry. This one is more expensive. I think it's like $300 more expensive than this one. But there's a lot of similarities. You know, this is also a titanium liner lock. It's also milled. It's also contoured. And the feel in hand of the mill pattern and how it feels, and the grip and the precision milling, these feel very analogous. This is harder to find. This one, he produces these regularly, and you can find them at Polished Custom Knife Works. But I wanted to show you this size comparison because these two are very similar. Certainly sharpened blade length is very similar. The one on the Sting is probably a little bit longer. But let's start with our review, and let's talk ergonomics. And the ergonomics on this one are phenomenal. You have this finger groove in the front, and that kind of locks the knife in from moving anywhere, and you got pretty good traction from this mill pattern that is kind of alternating in different directions. So you can see kind of curves this way, and then it curves back, and then there's a flat on this side, and the different facets that you have in the knife, it gives you a really solid grip and a very comfortable grip. And then you got this jimping that is very light, but I feel very effective. So the knife wants to be held in a hammer grip right here, in a saber grip, I'm sorry, right here, or in a hammer grip. But you know, with the jimping, this is very comfortable. I would say that the ergonomics of this are excellent. The pocket clip, it lands in the hollow of your hand, and it's really, all the corners are rounded, so you don't get any. I don't feel any hot spots in my hands for this knife. Ergonomics are excellent. I would say, I think that the ergonomics on the Sting are excellent, except for the pocket clip. The pocket clip is too big on the Sting. But I think that the ergonomics on both these are really good, and I think a little bit better on the Haptic. Now, cutting on this one, I did like cutting. Again, this is not my knife, and this is an expensive knife, so Kevin told me that it's definitely a user, but first, it's not my knife. Second, it's a hard to get expensive knife, so I do try to be more careful with other people's knives that are kind of very hard to get or very hard to replace. So I'm doing very light cutting with this, but you know, the grind comes to a really thin edge, and I'm talking kind of like Evo 2.0 type of thinness. The hollow, it doesn't start out as a thick blade. Let me show you. Here it is. How do I do this? Yeah, there's the blade thickness. So a little bit thicker than the bug out, but not by much. And the fact that you have a hollow grind, it means that it becomes really thin behind the edge. It's just really sticky. The cutting power of this, you know, especially utility cuts, shallow cuts, those kinds of things, is really good. I didn't do very heavy duty cutting with it. I will, if I ever get one, I will kind of do an update on, you know, putting it through its paces as I would my own knives. But I can tell you, in the cutting that I did with this one, I would say that is excellent. It's an excellent cutting tool. But I think where this knife absolutely, there's two things that shine on this knife, and one of them certainly has to be the action. The action on this thing is incredible. When I got it and I closed it like that, you see how it drops shut and it doesn't bounce back. I thought that this had to have blade play, So I checked for blade play, and I'm like, oh my god, no blade play, zero blade play. And look at that, it's just the action on this. The closing action on this knife is better than a Gripmo Norseman. This is better action than a Gripmo Norseman. And the problem with the Norseman is that deployment is not very good, or at least in my opinion. The flipper tab on the Norseman is all rounded. You can't really use it. The thumb, the detent's a little bit wacky, a little bit on it. Obviously, closing is amazing on the Norseman, but on this one, both the deployment and the closing is amazing. It has to be, I would put it probably right below Shirogorov. I think the closing action on this one is probably better than Shiro, but the deployment action on the Shiro is probably better. But it's, and there's an acoustic quality to the action of this, and I can't explain it. I'm gonna try and shut up and let you hear it. Let me see if I can. So outstanding action. One of the most phenomenal actions I've ever felt. I would say that this is probably, they're different feeling actions, but quality wise, I would say that it's on par with like iconic areas right at that. So right at the top of the pinnacle. Yeah, the top is the pinnacle, isn't it? Yeah, the top of the pinnacle of the apex of what action should be. This is just amazing action. And what you see is you get a phenomenal action in both ways, right? Deployment and closing. Because, for example, my Sting, deploying has really nice action, but closing, it has to be shaken to be shut, right? So the action on my Sting is nowhere near as good as what you get from the Holt. This is just incredible. I was very surprised. Like I said, when I deployed it and when I closed it, I was certain that there was blade play. And the other thing is, it's a fidget. It really wants to be a fidget, because the liner, the tension of the liner is so precisely dialed in that it's so easy to disengage. So I would say the action on this thing is the action on this thing is phenomenal. It really is. As someone who has many high-end knives and has handled many high-end knives, what Holt has been able to do is just remarkable. This is really good. So now we get into fit and finish, and that's where I need to just gush all over the place, right? Because what you have is this blade, right? The blade shape on this is just so good. The grind is excellent, but it doesn't get to a ridiculously weak point, because if you see the swedge, there's a swedge here, and then it thickens out at the tip. So even though it's a hollow grind, because what you get, for example, if you take a look at my at the review of my Jaeger, right, which is just a full hollow grind, and then there's like a cut on the knife. The tip becomes this really ridiculously fine point that you can break kind of with anything, but not so the case here, because you see they made it thicker at this point. So when they do that, it makes it so that it's very robust. Obviously, you're not going to be prying with anything with this thing, right? This is a knife that I would absolutely carry, absolutely use, but it would be like on a special occasion, right? It's an anniversary night, so that's what I'm carrying, those kinds of things. But it's nice to know that it's not going to be flimsy, such that you do anything with it and it breaks, right? So you've got this beautiful satin flats. You've got this, I really don't know how to describe it's like a vapor. It's very much like what the Shirogoro has, which is, I don't know if it's a hand rub satin. It could be, but anyways, take a look and let me know in the description what you think that is. But it's hard to describe. It's ridiculously well sharpened. I don't know if Kevin sharpened it himself, but this is just incredible. And then obviously the milling pattern. The milling is just so beautifully done, and it's so precise, and every corner is chamfered, every single edge. You've got this very nice back spacer. You see it back here with this milling inside of it. You've got a pocket clip that is screwed from the inside. You see no screws here. A really nice pivot with a Torx. So this is just phenomenal. I think this is probably one of the best knives out there. I really do. I again, this is not my knife, and I've wanted one for a long time. But now that I've had a chance to have it and to play with it and use it even more, I think this is one of the must-haves. This is going in my must-haves of my collection. I'm gonna increase my my attempts at getting one. Then other than that, I would say airing of grievances. I would just say availability. I mean, these are an expensive knife. Okay, you're pushing $1,000 on this, but you really want to be able to find more of these. And I don't know. So I know that they moved shops here recently. Hopefully that means increasing production, maintaining quality, because that's what we want, right? More production, less, and maintain the same quality. But man, these have been, and I'm very good at tracking down knives. I have some very difficult to get knives in my collection, but this one has proven to be harder than a lot of them. So I think that's my only complaint about the knife, that I can't get one. Now, other than that, if you take a look, what they do, they do an amazing job anodizing. They've really become really good at finding unique colors and pivot and scale combination of colors and clip. So those are really nice. So guys, this is one that I would absolutely recommend. Again, I want to thank Kevin from Knife Nerdery. This is an incredible knife. The fact that somebody sends you a knife like this, right, and trust that they're getting it back, just speaks volumes of humanity, right? That's just really nice. Guys, follow him, follow my channel. Don't get notifications. Nobody likes to get more emails. You know where to find my content if you want to see my videos. And I'll see you at the next one, guys. Take care.